Cars is my favorite game, and you know I can't be beat when I'm in the driver's seat. See, I got a lead foot and gas in my veins. God put a V8 where he should have put brains. There ain't a race I haven't run. There ain't a race I haven't won. And it's been 7 days since I've won a race, and I don't plan on leaving this place till I've won another. Send you crying home to your mother. See, I got the car, the skill, the crew, the will. God hates a sinner, but he loves a winner. You dare to show your face? Come on, Ace. Let's race.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching or listening to the 5051 Racing Show. Tonight, my guest co-host, Walter Johnson. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing excellent. You know, can't complain. One day at a time, as they say. You know?
Oh, yeah.
One day at a time. And myracenews.com I see it expanding.
Oh, we're getting.
Wow.
I think we actually told the guy this week that we were going to have to wait before we could figure out if we had any room for him.
I guess that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. We're looking at the possibility of changing the format from a blog more to like a news page, but we're still exploring that, so we're not sure when it's going to happen or where we're going with it. Right now, we're hoping by next month sometime.
Right.
But I'm still waiting for Mike to get back to me with some hosts that we can explore, see which one we want to go with.
There you go.
So.
Now, this started with just you.
Yeah. Started with me, and then I hooked up with Mike Jaworski, and it was just the two of us for a while.
Right.
And giving credit where credit's due, he's had a lot to do with a lot of the expansion. This is, people that he knew from going to races around the Northeast, and they, he'd go to them and say, well, if you want to help us out, well, I wish you'd asked me sooner. Yeah, I'd love to. And these guys are coming on. So we have a pretty good cadre of people out there.
Through the Facebook pages, I get all the updates and stuff, and some days I go on, there's like 30 updates at one time. I'm like, wow, there's a lot happening.
Well, that's one of the reasons that we want to try and change the format, because there have been some complaints about it's hard to find the stories. Somebody says, oh, I saw you put such and such a story up, but then I couldn't find it because you don't see the fine print at the bottom of the page. More stories that you got to bring in now, move on to page 2.
Yep. Yeah, I see the chat room's hopping already. We got to, you're not there getting everybody all fired up, so this is kind of interesting. They're all saying hello. That's good. Hello, everybody.
Good evening, everyone.
Kevin, nice to see you in the chat room. You were at the Riverhead this weekend, right?
No.
You weren't?
No.
Oh, what track did you go to?
I went to Orange County this weekend.
Oh, okay. Up in Syracuse?
Well,
in that area?
No. One in Middletown.
Oh, okay.
Middletown, Orange County Fairgrounds.
There you go. I haven't been there in 30 years.
I'm going to eat some humble pie. It was a big mistake.
Really?
The most horrible racing I've ever seen at that racetrack in my life.
Wow.
Well, I shouldn't say the horrible racing so much as just a horrible show overall. They didn't have a full field of cars in any division. They started, I guess, around 6:45, 7 o'clock. They finished at 9:03. And I'm not that familiar with drivers, car numbers, things like that up there, because I only get to go the one time each year. But I did notice that in the big block 30-lapper at the end of the night, it was like everybody who'd won heat races started up front. Right. And out of the top 5 cars at the finish, the only position changes I saw was about 3 or 4 laps into the race. The guy who started in third got by the guy who started in second, and other than that, they just ran around in circles. Now, in the past, when I've gone there, as recently as a year ago, seemingly handicapped by points, the bigger names, point leaders, whatever you want to call them, all started back in the high teens, low 20s, and worked their way up towards the front. Now, this was a double point night. Maybe there was something as far as the qualifying format was concerned or something like that. But I can tell you that by the time it was over, it was like all I did was watch a bunch of people raise dust and go around in circles. There was no real racing to speak of.
It was like a parade.
And they had small block modifieds, big block modified sportsmen, and street stocks. And the street stocks They obviously suffer from what every other track is. They only had like 9 street stocks there, so their car counts were anemic at best. Again, they're usually in the high teens in divisions like that, and they have in the other like small blocks and the Sportsman. In the past, I've seen them. They sent people home. They had consies, things like that. There was no need for them.
You know, you're seeing that more and more. A lot of the tracks, not only in the Northeast, but all over the country.
Well, it's understandable. At this point in the season, you know, most of them start back, let's say, as early as the beginning of April. I know dirt tracks usually start before asphalt tracks, too. You're at the point where I guess a lot of people's budgets are running short, and they have to sort of pick and choose what show they're going to run and things like that. So they, you know, they say, well, okay, we're going to go this week, but next week we're going to skip because it's not a big deal. I mean, you see it here on the island, and I see it in the results that I get from other tracks around the area.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. We'll continue to talk about what's going on in racetracks all over the country.
Good Times Magazine, New York's best entertainment paper for 43 years. Check out their calendar for all the latest music info, including New York City, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk. Studio News brings you the biggest news about the hottest artists and sounds. Technobeat is your guide to electronica, techno, house, and dubstep. Packtrack keeps you up to date on the biggest events at the area's performing arts centers and theaters. Good Times Magazine gives you all this and more. It's bi-weekly and it's free. Pick up your copy today or visit goodtimesmag.com.
Hey, this is Chuck from the Two Guys and the Chick Show on Radio.com. Hey, you know, this last election, apparently there were only 5.6 billion unique views online. Go figure. I guess it kind of opened their eyes a little bit that internet is the new way to go. I guess you could say the future of radio is now, broadcasting to 6.8 billion people in Radio.com.
Education, now you're up. Go!
This is not your daddy's radio. Well, unless he's cool in Radio.com, broadcasting to the world.
Good Times Magazine, New York's best entertainment paper for 43 years. Check out their calendar for all the latest music info, including New York City, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk. Studio News brings you the biggest news about the hottest artists and sounds. Technobeat is your guide to electronica, techno, house, and dubstep. Packtrack keeps you up to date on the biggest events at the area's performing arts centers and theaters. Good Times Magazine gives you all this and more. It's bi-weekly and it's free. Pick up your copy today or visit goodtimesmag.com.
YouNeedAPart.com. Fast and free, the internet's top used parts locator service. Over 3 million part searches since 2001. Salvage yards, sell more parts. Become a member today. YouNeedAPart.com. Tell them you heard it on Radio.com.
Radio.com.
This is not your daddy's radio. Well, unless he's cool in Radio.com, broadcasting to the world.
And we're back. So, between you and your crew, you cover a lot of races across not only the Northeast but down in the South as well.
We just picked up a young kid, Gary Willis, down in for Bowman Gray. He had gotten in touch with us a little while back and wanted to know why we didn't have any coverage down there. And I wrote back to him and I said, well, we don't have any coverage down there because we really don't know anybody who can do it for us. And he wrote back and he said, well, can I do it for you? And I said, well, send me something, you know, just next Saturday, take some notes, send me what you can about the race and everything. I'll see what I can do with it. And, you know, if it all works out, then sure. And we just more or less officially took him on about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, excellent. It keeps growing and growing.
Yeah, oh yeah. And, you know, it's nice, but it's more and more work all the time too.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons that I just wanted to take a week off this weekend and just go to a race, because it's getting to be so much. I'm probably having to go through, I'd say, a good 20 or more stories on Sundays that
Right.
I read. You know, I proofread them, pick up little errors here and there. For the most part, they're good. I've gotten used to who I really don't need to read a lot, and who I need to read every sentence with, and things like that. Just more or less trying to stay away from spelling errors, especially in people's names, and you know, getting the names right. I had one story where we were talking about who was starting where after a pick out of the hat, and I said, well, this can't be right because two guys can't pick sixth. So I had to figure out who was fifth, who was sixth, that kind of thing, you know. But, you know, you don't want to, if you just put it up, then everybody's going to read it and they're going to start laughing, going, don't these guys, you know, even read their own work?
See, I decided not to go to a race this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, I was home. I was going to go to my local place, and I just, you know what? I didn't.
I generally don't make that decision till around December 1st or so. That's when I decide I'm not going to go to a race that weekend, because it's very hard to find them on December 1st.
Yeah, no, it's. I'll tell you what. I thought this was going to be odd for me, not traveling with the tour, not going to certain events, and I was going to go to Stafford and help the guys that I've been helping on the outer edge. I said, you know what? I think I'm going to stay home. And it was funny, like the world didn't shatter when I woke up. And
I always wonder about that with you know, people that I knew who had jobs in racing or who were regulars, and then suddenly I don't see them anymore. And I say to myself, well, did I get like fidgety on Saturday afternoon, going, well, I'm not going tonight, but gee, maybe I should, because I really want to see who's going to win the modified race, or it's really tight in the figure 8 points. I guess I should go and see who's going to win that race tonight and when that works out, you know, rather than just wait until I read the results later tonight or tomorrow or something. This was a problem that I would have, I would think.
I thought I was going to have that problem, and I didn't. And Friday night, I was sitting there, I said, maybe I'll go out, I'll go tomorrow. And I was like, maybe I'll go out early. Maybe I'll go out later. You know what, the features don't start till 6, or maybe I'll go like at 5. And then I woke up that morning and just did other things. And I didn't, the first thing Sunday morning, I didn't go on the computer and get results like I would normally do. It was just different. And I'm having fun with different.
Well, that's...
This is like 43 years I've been going to races.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is like it's like a radical decompression doing it that way.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, I know how active you were working in it, but as far as your interest in following tracks that you weren't working at, or anything like that, or even divisions or favorite drivers or something like that, I mean, you know, not everybody goes to every cup race, but a lot of people follow it on the internet because they want to see, you know, what's going on with what. And you know how their guy did on Sunday or Saturday night, whatever the case may be. And
see, I haven't been a Riverhead regular since I left there in '02.
right.
So a lot of the competitors that raced in '02 don't race anymore.
Well, true.
A good portion of them.
True.
And there's a lot of kids that I recognize from go-karts that are now racing that I didn't really know them.
Especially in the legends, yes.
Oh
yes.
yeah, I mean, so it was kind of funny, and you know, I still help some people out. But
You
I
were
just,
like semi-regular, at least when Jess was racing. I mean, I know unless you were working a
yeah,
tour
well,
race, you were
if
there
I
on
wasn't at a
Saturday
tour
nights,
race, I
I'd
was
see you
there
a lot.
helping her. You know, that's so 22 figures saying that's how it starts. I haven't been to a track in 6 years. Yeah, you know, so you understand how that works. But and the other thing is, and it's not a fear, but my concern is I'm going to want to go back driving, and that's hard not to do.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't figure you're going to go broke and, you know, be living in a refrigerator box after you spend all the money you have to on a car.
See, and I started racing in '78. I never went in my own pocket to go racing. Never. I might have laid it out and got it back, but I never want my own pocket to go racing. I was, TK, Tommy Craft, and we had this discussion because he said, you raced through your sponsors and I raced through my top threes.
Yeah, well,
I was, I wasn't
there's a
top
lot of
three.
stories like that around where, I mean, even back in the old days with NASCAR when they were all throwing their, what then was Grand National cars onto an open trailer and going city to city, whether they were going to the next city 500 miles away, depending on where they finished in the race in this city. And,
Exactly.
if they didn't make enough, then they had to, take the shortcut, go back home, earn some money, and then maybe race again in 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, that's how it was in those days. And,
Yeah.
you listen to the stories about Bobby Allison showing up at ISA Speedway with a destroyed race car, and pulling. Where's the nearest junkyard?
Well, yeah. That was the good thing about racing in Freeport. The nearest junkyard was right across the
Right
street.
across the street. Yeah. But it's a whole different time, and it's a whole different era. Even with in the weekly series and the touring series, it's totally different than it was even 10 years ago.
Well, there's not too many junkyards now that would have the parts you need for today's
Exactly.
race cars. Unless you're down to like the blunderbuss level, and even then you're only talking sheet metal probably,
Yeah,
because
pretty much.
mechanically, unless it's an arm for an alternator or something like that, they wouldn't have what you need anyway.
Yeah. So that's the hard thing. But like I said, I still have my car still sitting in. It still needs a motor. I was gonna, I wasn't gonna, I was gonna, I wasn't gonna. I kind of was playing around with it. And now that I have the time, and sponsors ready to hop on board, I don't have that desire.
You were putting a V8 in it.
Yeah, well, still.
Because I saw
Totally
Frank at the track a couple of weeks back, and I said to him, "What's the deal with the car?" And he says, "I don't know. I'm waiting for a call. I'm ready to go when they're ready to go."
he's
I
sitting
said,
there
"Oh,
with-
okay."
Bated breath, so to speak, because he did a couple of practice runs. He had a great time. The first practice kind of shook him up because the field was all spread out, but the second one he was all right, and then it blew up after two laps. But when he went to the payoff window and saw that he made more for last than what the truck guy gets for winning, he thought this might be a good thing. So.
Well, I would imagine anybody their first time out in a figure-8 car, like it was for him, even if it's in practice. I mean, they go at it in practice because you're not going to learn anything about the car just by tooling around out there at 30 miles an hour. But it's got to be a whole different feeling. I mean, it's not like driving down the street, and it's definitely not like racing on an oval. And I've never done it.
Yeah.
And I can say that. I can say just as an observer from watching it.
Yeah, it's different. It's totally different. But I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what next year's going to bring, but I know there's only like maybe 3 figure-8 races left, maybe 4. I don't know if we want to throw it together for those 3 or 4 races. And one's a non-points race, so we'll see. We'll see.
That's the one, the last...
Yeah, they call it the National Championship.
Right. That's like late in September this year.
Yeah. So, I don't know, but if we do go back with it, I'm
Does
sure.
it pay any more money? Since
It
it's
used to pay a lot more money.
Well, yeah, okay.
Now it just pays a little bit more money. So I don't know. We'll see. It's I mean, Frankie has the ride if that's what he wants to do, but as long as I could do some laps once in a while, I'll do that. I mean, I did that to all my drivers. I used to take the car out in practice, and much to the chagrin of the officials in charge because I didn't have a valid NASCAR driver's license. But I showed him in the rule book. It says you only need one to compete. It doesn't say you need one to practice.
Really? Well, that's. I always thought you at least needed one to go on the
Doesn't
track,
say
so
that in
you'd
the
be
rule
covered
book.
by the insurance.
See, it doesn't say that. It's a
Oh, this is another between the lines deal here. If it doesn't say it in the rules, then it's not a rule? Is it
something like that.
That interpretation?
Yeah,
Okay.
it says right in the rule book, to compete in the NASCAR weekly series, you need a valid NASCAR driver's license. It doesn't say you need one to practice. It doesn't say to go on the racetrack you need one. You just have to carry a NASCAR license because in most tracks, to get in, you have to have one. Some you don't, but
Either that or a $50 bill.
exactly.
Right.
So I had a valid NASCAR license. Do you know they took my license away?
Really?
They did. I can't believe this. I got a letter. Please turn it in. Like a suspension letter.
Maybe you made an illegal right turn on red?
Holy cow. I did that too. I got one of those in the mail too.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
coming back from New Hampshire.
No, I don't do that.
The red light camera got me.
The red light camera.
Yeah.
Running a red light or making a right on red?
Right on red. I'm on the expressway. Get on the service road. I make a right onto 231. I thought I stopped long enough, but the little video camera says I didn't.
Well, the video camera wants you to mentally in your head count 1, 2, and then go.
Yeah.
After you've brought the car to a full halt.
I went too
Or
quick.
don't you remember from your driving class?
Nah, that was like 4
I
years ago.
probably took mine longer ago than you did, and I remember that. Maybe that's why I don't have any tickets.
And I guess all that flashing was them taking pictures of my car, you know?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was the
No,
guy
I've been
behind
at those intersections. Those flashes are very distracting at night because they just like,
Yeah.
every time the light changes, they go off.
Yes, they do. But you know, like I said, I don't know what the rest of this year is going to bring, but I know I have to now get a NASCAR license
Yeah.
because I know that they're not going to let me in my local track without one, and I do plan on going to Thompson and Bristol, so I'm going to need a valid NASCAR license.
You mean you're not like a NASCAR official emeritus that would be allowed into Bristol and?
Well,
places
I
like-
don't know, and I don't want to get there and find out that they're not going to let me.
Oh, okay. No.
No, there are certain racetracks that I've already spoken to, and I'm a welcome guest. But there's some, like the one that's closest to me. Now that I don't have that NASCAR employee badge no more, they want me to have a license too, or I got to pay the $50.
Well, yeah, I guess you know they have to have some sort of restriction because possibility exists. You get enough people who worked for it one time and just keep coming back, and the place.
And I understand.
Places get pretty crowded with all
I'm
of those
thinking.
people if they happen to show up on the same night.
It's kind of crowded already with a
Might be.
lot of the VIP wristbands that I see
Well,
around that place.
true, but I'm just thinking, you know, if everybody with that privilege, or you know, if 90% of them showed up on the same night, there might not be enough room in the pits for the cars to compete because everybody would be standing around. You know.
Yeah. And then there are other racetracks, only the driver and the car owner in the feature division have to have a valid license, and every other, it's just the driver. Like you don't need a NASCAR license at a lot of racetracks. They make you get a local thing.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I've been to Mountain a few times. They're a non-NASCAR track. I don't know. I know that you know, you have to have. They have a license there.
Yep.
And that they'll honor, there's certain events where they tell everybody they'll honor licenses from other places, but I never thought of it in terms of whether a pit crew member needed a license or if it was just having the greenest money at the gate when they come in.
I remember going to Riverside Park. The driver and the owner didn't pay to get in the.
Oh yeah, I remember when they did that. Yeah, I thought that was great.
But you know, it's funny. I got this letter. I opened it up, and it said, "Please send us your NASCAR license." Okay. I sent my uniform.
Send them back a letter and say, look, I got your letter where you asked, you said, please send us your NASCAR license. Did you lose yours that you need mine? Or?
You know, it's kind of funny because the new regime that's there now in 2013, they didn't like my sense of humor.
If you don't have a sense of humor, then you don't have anything.
They told me I needed to take this a little more serious. Like, okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there is a time. I would agree.
Absolutely.
There's a time to be serious, you know, and serious things happen. But you know, there's also moments when you can just be a little bit lighthearted and try and have a little chuckle out of what's going on.
You know,
and, you know, keep things light, and
Yeah.
it helps to build friendships and keep everybody from getting too tense about things and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got an award for that at the officials' breakfast. That was a little too friendly with the competitors.
Oh.
Yeah, I think there was an underlying message there because I guess you're not supposed to be friendly. Yeah.
Oh, fraternizing with the troops, they used to call that when I was in the service.
they didn't like
that. The officers weren't allowed to
Yeah, they didn't like that.
fraternize with the enlisted men, and the higher enlisted weren't allowed to fraternize with the lower enlisted. And you began to wonder if it was possible to talk to anybody if it, you know, didn't have anything to do with following military orders or something like that.
Yeah, Babyface is saying that I screw up big time. That's good, thanks, Babyface. Good. Teresa says, hi, Jay. How you
Hello, Teresa. How are you tonight?
doing? Yeah, poor Teresa. She bought a car. It's no good.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I feel bad for her.
A lemon?
I think it's a Lemonella line, this car.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I feel bad for her.
Like a new car or a race car?
No, it proved like a used car.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, sometimes.
I was just glad I wasn't a part of it. I just gave her the number of who to call.
Oh.
She did everything else, you know.
And where did you find it?
Oh, please, don't even,
You don't want to go there. Huh?
I wish I would have stayed out of it. But anyway.
Yeah, well, you do kind of feel bad, you know.
I do.
You hook somebody up and they get a car, and then you get a phone call from them saying, you know that person you told me to call to get a car? I bought the piece of junk, and now it's going to cost me $9,000 to get it running right.
Yeah. But hey, the person you go, but it looks like it's fixed now, so that's good. See, I'm not a mechanic, and and those who are closely know I'm not a mechanic. If my car don't start, I wouldn't even know what to look at first. I don't even open the hood because what am I looking at?
You don't even know how to change the air filter or
I could
check
do
the
that.
oil?
Yeah, I could do that stuff. I can't fix things. I can't even replace parts.
How are you changing a flat? That's replacing parts.
AAA, I got 1-800
Really?
AAA. They
Okay.
come. I mean, if I
And
really
if
had
you're-
to, I could.
If you're at a cell phone range, then what?
Sit there until somebody pulls over and helps. No, I could change a flat. I actually have a floor jack in my trunk of my car because I hate that scissor jack thing.
Oh,
I hate that. So I put a floor jack in my car.
Yeah, those are kind of, they're not too bad bringing the car down once you've put a good tire on it, but when the car is really low to the ground, then you're doing that quarter turn thing.
Oh, yes. No. That's not good. Then you got a
That's
quarter
when-
turn, move
That's
it,
when you're
quarter
cursing
turn.
the engineer that made it, saying, boy,
Yeah.
buddy, I wish you were here to have to do this, you know.
Yeah, it's like when you put a wedge into your race car, you count the turns.
Yeah.
Yeah, 22 figure, he's cracking. He doesn't believe that I'm not a mechanic. I could tell. I get out of my race. I could go to start my race car, it wouldn't start. Dummy me, I'd forget to turn the ignition on. The little switch.
Oh, yeah.
So I had lights attached to them, so I knew they were on. I'm telling you, I don't know this stuff. Although if the wheels get ripped off, I could put them back on. That's kind of weird, though. If it's under the hood, I'm shot.
Yeah, but see, the more you learn about it, the better off you are. Even if you don't like getting your hands dirty, but you at least know something about how the engine goes together and what makes it work and stuff like that, you will never really get taken by an auto repair shop because they won't be able to give you a snow job because you brought your own plow.
Right.
By having the knowledge.
Yeah, they don't like that. And that's what was happening with NASCAR. It's funny, the last race that I worked at Monadnock, they flew a guy up from like South Carolina, I think he was from, to do the carburetors. And I'm in the hauler, and I'm getting ready to do my thing. And they're giving him a crash course in carburetors. They flew this guy up just for that. But they had to give him a crash course. And then they're going around, and he goes up there, and I'm not going to say whose carburetor it was, but they go up to this one guy and says, this carburetor is no good. And he goes,
Was he only familiar with 1 barrels and he had to school him on 4 barrels? Or what?
what do you mean it's no good? It was good last week when the regular carburetor guy checked it. We only had to pop the seal because we had to do something, blah, blah, blah. He says, oh, I'm sorry, it's no good. Then all of a sudden he comes back, and he said, oh, I used the wrong tool. So the guy goes, how many carburetors did you fail before you got to me?
Oh, man, wow.
This is one of the reasons why I hung up my hat. Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, 22 figure, all right, he knows some of my faults, like patience on lap 1. Anytime I wrecked with 22 figure 8, it was always on lap 1. And I don't mean to laugh, but as he's being towed off the racetrack, and he passed me, Joe, on lap 1, Joe? On lap 1?
It's really sad to see sometimes how many people don't have patience on lap 1.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got a hello, Dad.
Oh.
Because I know that's not any of my kids.
That's my daughter in Florida. She's been going to, she's been going to different tracks down there, or trying to every week. They haven't done well with the weather lately. They've been rained out more than once. She's actually, she drives from Palm Bay to New Smyrna, which is about an hour and 20-minute ride just to, go see the races there. But they've even picked out.
See, now I just, Teresa's, somebody's made a message for Teresa that to call Tom about her car. See that? We helped somebody now.
Oh, that's good.
Right.
That's good. See,
See?
and my daughter found a track in Tampa.
Oh, excellent.
That's what, about a 2-hour ride? Oh, no, more than 2 hours for her.
Now I think I know who Mookie Dumpling is.
Oh,
You see, because people, you let them talk enough, then you figure out who they are.
yeah, see, 3 hours from Palm Bay to
Nice.
there.
Let's see, at least those.
How many weekends would you spend 3 hours on the road just to go sit and watch a race? At a track you've never been to, just on speculation.
Back in the day, I would have did that. I don't know if I do that today.
Because I spent 2 hours on the road each way. Well, spent 2 hours going up there. Coming back, we ran into a traffic jam on Bronx River Parkway coming down.
man.
And
You know what somebody told me to do? Like, you go race those tracks upstate and whatnot. They told me that it would be quicker to take the New York State Thruway to 684 to 84 and take the ferry back. They said it would be quicker on a Sunday night.
no.
Saturday.
Well, this was
I
a
never
Saturday
tried-
night. This
yeah, I
was a
never
Saturday
tried
night.
that.
No, that it's what it is you come off the Tappan Zee Bridge and it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Which way am I going to go?
Yeah.
Because it's continued down through Yonkers, and then take your chances with the Cross Bronx, or you can go down Springbrook into Bronx River, and most of the Cross Bronx is behind you. You can go all the way over to 95 with a Hutch. The Hutch they were doing work on. They were working on the Throgs Neck Bridge, so off we went to the Whitestone Bridge.
They're giving Kathy direction. Look at
There you
that.
go, look at this. Huh?
Head north to Palm City, to North Florida. What is that? New Yorkers. North Florida Speedway. Where is that? I never heard of that track.
Wow.
That's not the
What
old
city is that?
Florida Speed Park in Jacksonville, is it? Or St. Augustine? I don't know.
Well, you know, it's funny. I talked to her on the phone 2 weeks ago, and I said to her, you know, with all this traveling you've been doing, I said, have you been to Volusia and seen a dirt race? And she said, well, you know, I wanted to go, but my son-in-law doesn't want to go because he says he'll get dirty. And I said, well, don't sit in a turn. Because you sit in a turn at a dirt track, you know, forget it. If you got glasses on, you'll be a raccoon when you walk out of it. Because,
Yeah,
you know,
this is true.
your face will just be, you know, totally covered in it. I said, you got to sit like past the middle of the straightaway to try and get away from all the dirt that's being thrown off the cars. I said, but it's a, you know, it's a different kind of racing. It's very exciting to watch.
Now, Baby Darling, I know who they are now because they're going to give me a lesson on how to take care of a car when I get to Bristol.
Oh, here we
So
go.
that's the team I'm working with in Bristol. So.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're going to Bristol? I was going to
Yeah,
ask
I'm
you
going
that.
to Bristol.
Yeah.
I'm going to be spotting in Bristol.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to be spotting. At least that's what was determined this afternoon.
Do you do that with the modified race? Do they go all the way up to the roof, or they just sit up
Oh,
behind the
they're on
stands?
the roof. For
On the roof?
practice, they're in the stands. I can't remember exactly where, but they were in the stands for practice, but they're on the roof of the race itself.
I'm just thinking modifieds from the roof of Bristol got to look like Hot Wheels cars.
Oh, they do it Loudon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
I'm sure.
Bristol's higher.
Yeah.
Bristol's
yeah.
a lot higher. I did it at Martinsville. I spotted for Ed Denseski at Martinsville many years ago.
Because when I was down at Bristol at one time, I sat in the grandstand during the race, and I think I was about 20 rows up, and I couldn't believe how small the cars looked from there because it was, you know, I'm so used to sitting closer at a local weekly track. And of course, I had been in the infield and was close to the cars, and I said to myself, well, I don't know, it would be, you know, way up there because.
Yeah, no. You know, I went to Volusia. The first time I went to Volusia, and I'd been to dirt tracks, but I went to Volusia, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. And I brought somebody who never went to a dirt track. And I was into it. I couldn't believe it. And then I was following Earl Pearson in his late model because I did T-shirts for him. So I was following him. And they were going 3 wide in the corners, 50 laps, lap after lap, never touching. And I'm into it. I'm into it. All of a sudden, there's a caution. I turned to say something, and they're gone. They didn't like it.
Really?
They didn't like it.
Wow.
They were all full of dirt and stuff. You know.
No, when I went down there in 2000, we went to Volusia one night. We had planned on going there Tuesday night because we heard that somebody was going to put Tony Stewart in their car, and you know he was like the hot new thing back then, and you know he's an up and coming driver. I said, yeah, gee, I'd love to see Tony Stewart run a dirt car. You know, he runs sprints, I'm sure, and dirt modified. He'll be terrific.
Yep.
So whose car is he in? Brett Hearn.
No, man.
Brett Hearn loans Tony his backup car. Would you believe, I think it was less than 10 laps into the feature race, who does Tony collide with and take out of the race? Both cars? Brett Hearn.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I turned around to my friends. I said, now, is that any way to thank the guy that gave you the ride in the first place? I said, can you imagine what that conversation is going to be like?
Oh, man. No, and speaking of Tony Stewart, he got released from the hospital the other day and second surgery.
Yes, we heard, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so,
I'm just wondering what, if anything, they're going to be able to do for the type of break that he has. If he has it in his mind that he wants to get back in after maybe dealing with one of these orthopedic experts that can make him up one of these space-age braces to put on his leg.
Well,
But, you know, it's his right leg,
Yeah.
and the right leg has to, well, I shouldn't say it has to do a lot of work. The left leg's busier in a race car between the brake and the clutch and stuff like that. But still in all, I don't like the idea of somebody who's not close to 100% being in a car that they might have to get out of in a hurry. That's the worrisome thing.
He's got a similar break to what I had. He's got a stage 4 tib-fib fracture, but the difference with mine was subtalus, and what the talus is, and I'll give you a little lesson in there, is the ball that's in your ankle, and your tib is here and your fib is here, and it works off of it.
Right.
Well, mine was a subtalus stage 4 fracture, and it took the talus out.
Okay.
So, very similar breaks, except his ankle's intact.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Mine they put back together with all kinds of parts that they had left over. I don't know what the heck they did. I got a lot of metal where there used to be
well,
bone.
at least they didn't go to the scrapyard across the street, right?
Oh man, that was close. Considering they had the chainsaw out, they were just going to cut it off. It was that mangled, but thank God there was an intern.
They really were going to cut it
Oh
off?
yeah,
And what stopped it?
They had my health proxy sign that they were agreeing to this. So the orthopedic doctor that was on call at Stony Brook after they brought me there from that place out east, he was doing rounds with all his residents. So they're going to go in, okay, we're going to do an amputation. We're going to take it off. But that's how mangled it was.
Wow.
So one of the interns, or residents I should say, who was also into racing, was the neighbor of Steve Ratty, who drove at Riverhead,
Right, right.
and just knew about racing. He said, you know, Doc, why don't we practice a reconstruction? Because if we mess it up, we're taking it off anyway.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, better to be a guinea pig and have both legs today than, you know,
The rest
somebody say, no, we don't have time for that, just cut it off.
Yeah, and I got to thank, please, and I know I'm not a NASCAR fan right now, but I got to thank NASCAR, and I know I've said this on the show, because they sent me to the best. They told me I'd never walk again. And as you see, I walk fairly well.
You did pretty good coming down the stairs. You know?
Yeah, going up is going to be a problem. But they told me I'd never walk again, that it was only there for balance. I was on crutches for, many of you know that, for quite some time, and I walked with a cane for quite some time and a half. And then now if I don't abuse it, it feels okay. So, which was another factor in me stepping down.
How about on humid, rainy days? How was it?
Humid, rainy days,
Can you forecast weather with it?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I could feel the barometric pressure change. It starts to throb when it drops. But my job on the tour the last couple of 2-3 years was wheelbase. It's a heavy gauge. You're down, you're up, you're down.
Yeah, I've seen that
You go
bar,
on the
yeah,
other side,
yeah.
you're down, you're up, you're down, you're up. And what was happening is we were doing wheel gauge sometimes twice a day. And that was always my job. And I know that was the head tech guy's way of trying to get me to not come back next time.
How changeable is a wheelbase on the car?
Well, that was
you
my
would do it?
argument. They're not going to change. The rule in wheelbase is minimum 106, maximum 108 with a 1-inch variance.
Right, okay.
Side to side. You check it once, boom. The next time you should check it is when the race is over. You don't need to check it in the morning. You don't need to check it before qualifying. You don't need to check it before. You don't need to do it 3 times in a weekend. Sometimes 4. Loudon, I did it 4 times. 4 times.
Well, I think that probably has to do with, you checked it, they went out and practiced, qualified, whatever, and it's not an impound, they get the car back. They could do a lot of different things to that car before they bring it back to race again.
Absolutely.
So, unfortunately, because there's one that might do it, you got to check them all.
Right. And the other thing that really upset me about tech is, before they go over the scale, 2 officials are checking air pressure. They go up on the scale, boom, they get their ride heights. As soon as they roll down that ramp to get off, you hear tss. What do you do? Well, they're taken out. They're allowed to do that. Then why do we go through that whole dog and pony show before they go on stage? Skip that. So, there was a lot of stuff like that. You know, a lot of stuff. It's all going to come out.
But you're doing that when the tires are cold. So, yeah, they're coming off and they're letting the air out because now they're going to go out and the tires are going to get warm and they're going to grow. So
It goes. Hoosiers recommended minimums, whatever it is. It's 10, 12, 15, 15, depending on the track. But those are the close ones. All right. So going over the scales, they have to be that. Now they roll down that down ramp, and there's that crew chief letting out air, getting that left front as low as he can, putting more in the back. I'm like, why do we go through this?
Oh, I've noticed. No, you're right. I've noticed. I mean, I've seen cars where I look down at the sidewall of the tire and go, gee, should I go over and tell them the tire's going flat?
Yeah.
And then I look at the car behind it, it's the same way, and I go, oh, okay, they're just running low pressure because they want to leave room for it to build up, but they don't want it to grow too much. And, you know, this is how they do the stagger. I understand that, but, you know, it's just...
You know, I always said, you know, do the safety stuff. I'm big on safety. You know what? At the end of the race, then you do that other stuff. If you're no good, you're no good.
True.
Why do we tech
True.
the cars 4 times in a weekend? I never understood that. I said we. I'm not a we anymore. I said we.
Oh, yeah, well, that's true. You're not a we.
Yeah, I'm not a we.
Unless you open up a racetrack of your own, and then you have to do it all.
Well,
I'm not planning on doing that.
from your mouth to God's ears. It would be the most fun place to race.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to do it on your own. You'd have to have...
I'd have to have
You
people.
got to delegate everything.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Because you got to sit and count the money. No, that's not how it works.
No, I'm not into that part. You know, if I have enough money to buy the racetrack, just break even at the end of the day. That's all I'm looking to do. I don't need to sit in the office with bags of money counting them, you know, stacks of 20s, 10s. You know, I don't need to do that.
There are probably places where you've got enough money to buy the racetrack, but nobody lives there, so therefore nobody would be coming to the races. I mean, I don't know if you've ever looked out the window of an airliner flying across country.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
many.
empty land out there, but nobody lives there, so...
Yeah, I looked at one in Georgia. It was
Probably,
empty, and it was
get the
going
land for
cheap. but
$10 an acre or whatever, and
but-
then your expense would be...
I went to Google Earth and I
grading
looked.
it out, you know.
There were no roads, no major roads to go to this racetrack. It was like going down a side street, you know.
Well, I was going to say, you know, you're in trouble when you buy this really cheap property to build a racetrack on, and then all of a sudden you realize you have to build 10 miles of road for people to get to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It's not like Fields of Dream, build it, they'll come. You know, it's not. And where we wanted to build a racetrack that had roads, they wouldn't let us. So
Right.
I was just talking to somebody about that. They wanted to know if we'd ever try that again. I said, really, I was just a consultant. It wasn't a we. You know, it wasn't my money. I don't have that kind of money.
I still see people, and I wish them all luck in the world, trying to build a drag strip out in Calverton. If all they get is an 1/8 mile or 1,000 foot or whatever, and it helps get some of these people off the road,
You know,
who think that you know, Ocean Parkway is a great place to go dragging, or Deer
Yeah.
Park Avenue,
Yep.
or
Comac Road.
even Comac Road, Crooked Hill Road over by me in Brentwood.
the conduit
There's just
down in
too
Brooklyn.
many places. I know it doesn't happen every time out that people do it, but they really need a sanctioned place where they can
Yep.
go and do it safely and just get it over and done with and have some fun.
Right.
There's many, many people around that are interested in races that are over in 8 seconds or less.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not, but there are a lot of other
Right,
people.
and I think that they should have a place to play and a place to be entertained with that.
And I think that's going to happen. I was at a cocktail party a few months back with a person in the know who was part of an organization, I'm not going to say which one, that makes those decisions. And they said, the drag strip is coming. They'll never in their lifetime be an oval track. So I said, well, why not? So we had this little conversation, and they feel that the noise and the traffic would be too much.
Well, that was the craziest thing. I mean, you know, people talked about building a track in Calverton and the noise being disrespectful to the cemetery. Now, how many years have we listened to, you got to close Islip down because it's too noisy, you got to close Freeport down because it's too noisy, because people live near there. Now you're talking about hallowed ground with, yes, dead people, veterans, people who have served the country and everything like that.
Absolutely.
I don't think noise on Saturday night would bother them. I don't think the noise should bother their families because I don't know too many people who visit a cemetery at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. Most of them are locked up and hopefully empty, devoid of, you know, anybody who would be doing that sort of thing as far as visiting is concerned. But people come up with the silliest arguments to stop something like that, and that actually ranks as one of the silliest I've ever heard.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I respect those guys and gals, and my two boys, one's still there, and the other one got out. And every other man, woman, and child that defended our country, I respect that.
Right.
But they're dead. And there's other noises. They didn't have problems flying F-14s over there when Grumman was testing and shaking houses.
Right. That was the thing. The runways, those planes were taking off over that land all the time. Even, you know, I mean, that's one of the newest cemeteries around, but it's been there long enough that plenty of Grumman test flights took place over it.
Exactly.
And I haven't seen too many race cars that are noisier than a jet plane taking off.
No. And the noise, it's a different noise, and it's, I don't know. I don't know. It's just...
Well, plane noise obviously doesn't count, or they'd have to shut down all the airports in New York City that cross over cemeteries that are nearby. Because I doubt you could take a plane off from Kennedy Airport or LaGuardia without, you know, going over some graveyard.
Yeah. But, you know, it's like they want to have an excuse, a reason, and if you're not into racing, you don't want, excuse me, you don't want it in your backyard type of thing. The old, not in my backyard.
Race cars can be called dead heats.
You know?
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
But it's one of those things. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back after these words.
We're going over to have some lobster?
Yeah.
Jimmy's Diner, 1535 Montauk Highway in Mastic, New York. Food and eats, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., 7 days a week. Breakfast and lunch. Phone 631-281-5700. Homestyle cooking, Jimmy's Diner. Tell them you heard it on Enravio.com.
Putting it off and start painting it up today at Ben's Paint Station, featuring Benjamin Moore paints, Sickens, wood finishes, paints, and professional paint supplies, ideal for contractors and homeowners, stain paints and epoxies, family owned and operating, in business for over 55 years, professional and experienced help, located at 2 locations, 55B Route 25, Coram, Long Island, New York, and 1495 Plaza, Montauk Highway, Mastic, New York. Call them at 775-7435 and 775-8135. Ben's Paint Station, featuring Benjamin Moore Paints. Log on to the Enravio Advertisers page today.
Enravio.com.
Hey, this is Joe Larson from the 5 Off, 5 On Racing Show, and you are watching Enravio.com, broadcasting to the world.
Terrestrial radio broadcast to a state. Satellite radio broadcast to a nation. Web radio broadcast to the world. The future of radio is now. Broadcasting to 6.8 billion people. Streaming 24/7.
Enravio.com.
How you doing? Okay, I got the results from Saturday. We raced in Merrick. The tournament was held by North Belmore. Believe it or not, fire department racing is hurting also. There was only 10 teams showed up the week before the state tournament. This Saturday is actually our state championship. So, Walter, if you're not doing nothing in the morning, you're not going to Riverhead or whatever, you can come over to your old stomping grounds there and look for the beer cans and all that stuff to tell me, collecting the quarters. Yeah, actually the state drill actually starts at 8 a.m. and anybody that's interested, that thing will be going on until at least 12 midnight. So you got at least 16 hours worth of racing. It's like I said, it's our Super Bowl of drill team racing, and it's at Ware Street in Hempstead, 8 a.m. start, and there's also a parade the following day at 1 o'clock in the same area over there in Hempstead. And like I said, it's our Daytona 500 there. Yeah, it's right there. It's right there. I mean, it's only $5 to get in, but you got at least 16 hours worth of racing. I mean, the teams from upstate will come down, and some old-fashioned teams will race, doing the old-fashioned events along with the motorized stuff. And it's a day of fun. I mean, you can get a hamburger for like $3, and you can get a Coke for $1. Things are cheap there. Plus the racing teams have their own barbecues and stuff going like that. And if anybody wants, there's a live broadcast. If you can't make it to the races, you could actually listen to it if you go to NewYorkStateDrillTeams.com, and you can listen to the live broadcast. You can actually watch video, which I will be videotaping for them. So whatever you're watching on TV, it's from me. Also, I got the results from this past Saturday. Like I said, there was only 10 teams in Merrick this past Saturday, unfortunately. Oh, they could have been well over 35 teams, 40 teams, but a lot of fire departments aren't putting up drill teams this year because it takes a lot of time, takes money, and it seems like the only teams that are racing this year are the teams that have the bucks, you know what I'm saying, like my team and all that stuff. And like I said, I see people that used to go to Riverhead still go to Riverhead there on Saturdays, and they say the same thing. It costs too much to bring the family there where they can go see a fireman's tournament for half the price or even a quarter of the price. And like I said, I have the results from Saturday. West Hempstead took it. Second place was West Sayville. Third was the Hicksville Hicks. Roslyn Highlanders finished fourth, and the Copeg Yellowbirds finished fifth. It was a pretty good tournament. The points were pretty close. My team didn't go. We didn't go because we had a wedding that night. So I think it was a bad idea because only a couple of guys were going to the wedding. So it could have been an extra week of practice and stuff. So that's about it. So if anybody's interested, like I said, exit 20 off the Southern State Parkway, and it's on Ware Street in Hempstead. Like I said, it starts at 8 a.m., so get there early. You know why? Because it takes a lot of time. You're there, like tomorrow night we have practice, Thursday night we have practice. You go to practice at 5 o'clock. That's when you meet at the firehouse. You don't get home until after 11 o'clock at night and stuff. I mean, you got to run all your events. You practice with another team because we practice with the Islip Wolves. We practice with West Sayville. Occasionally you'll come down, even though they have their own track. Sayville comes down to practice at the Islip Town track. So you got like 4 different teams that are there practicing and stuff like that. So that, and then all day Saturday. Don't forget, you're starting at 8 a.m. You're not going to get home till maybe after 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and stuff. Then you got to get up the following day and go parade. And then, firemen, they like to have a few beers afterwards and stuff like that. So, oh, yeah. They love to have, Joe will tell you. Yeah. My firehouse, we got 3 bars in my firehouse. Wow. So, Walter, you went to Middletown. I went up there in June. It was pretty good racing and stuff like that. They had a good car count and all that stuff, maybe because it was earlier this year or whatever. Yeah. What about the stands? Were they filled? I know Riverhead's like sort of full. Like Riverhead on a Saturday night, I guess people don't have the money to go racing, to go watch racing. I know. How much was the ticket price? What was the ticket price at Middletown? Wow. Well, that's, you go to the Olympics.
It's right on their website. It says, it's $14 for a regular show and stuff like that. I mean, I looked on there before I went because the people I was going with were curious, and I told them, and they're like, okay.
Oh, is all the guys you hang out with up there?
Well, not all, but 2 people.
Oh, very good, very good. Well, it's better than going to Riverhead, I guess. Did you enjoy yourself there?
Well, actually, from what I read, I probably would have had a better time at Riverhead Saturday night, to be honest with you.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't even know how many cars they had at Riverhead Saturday then, as far as modified the late boat.
I believe they had 18 modifieds. I don't remember off the top of my head, Kev. You'd have to go look at the results I posted up when I got home. I know there was like, what was it? There was 13 late models. There was only 8 Chargers.
Really?
But that's because one's for sale. I don't know where the rest of the people are. What we were talking about before. You're at the point in the season where some people's budgets have run out and they got to pick and choose what they're going to run, and
Yeah, right.
Because sponsorship's not out there, as you well know. I mean, you've been looking for sponsorship for how long, and you come up dry.
Yeah, I just need a couple of bucks to get new cameras and maybe some, because the stuff I use now is outdated. I have to reuse tapes that I already have. I put them on a master now, DVD, like I give you on Saturday when I see you and stuff. Because I use high 8s. There's no more high 8s out there, and I'm not paying $20 for a high 8 tape, you know what I'm saying, when I would get it for half the cost what I used to get.
I think you can still get high 8 tapes because...
I haven't seen them.
Really?
No, so I've been reusing
Have you
stuff
looked
I
online for them?
No, I usually go to like CVS, Walmart, Kmart. I haven't seen them.
Like what about an audio store?
Radio Shack once, I seen for one tape like $30.
Because I know
That's ridiculous.
It's probably hard to find VHS tape, and yet I noticed, I think it's BJ's Wholesale Club, they still sell
You get an 8-pack.
VHS tapes there and stuff like that, so I would imagine they still have the high 8s. I don't know, I would have to ask Steve, because I know Steve uses digital tape in his Sony, so...
Yeah, he has that what do you call it, camera? Yeah, but he has smaller tapes than mine. The same thing, not VHS, like a cassette tape.
No, it's not. He's not using VHS-C. I know what you're talking about. It's not like that. Right. It is cassettes, but it's digital.
Like I said, I have stuff from back in the late, around 2000, something like that. That's how old my camera. I actually had I had an in-car camera, but that couldn't survive all the crashes and all that stuff, running with Johnny Bush. And I had it in a TQ1, so much vibration in that thing, you couldn't really even see the picture and stuff. Michael will tell you, I sent him a whole bunch of stuff, the in-car camera stuff I had from Mountain Speedway and stuff like that.
All right.
Conk, and I even did one at Riverhead and stuff like that. I tried to do it on the Whalen Modify tour, but Chad Little was like, nah, you can't do that. I just want to use it for practice or whatever. It's for a cable show. I was running with Johnny Bush back then, but they said no, so I had to pull it out of there. I actually used it for our ROC race. I used it for that when Johnny was running an ROC race when they ran the, Labor Day weekend. The ROC modified. They let me use it. They let me put it in there.
All right.
So that was some good shots from Thompson, really good stuff.
Yeah, very good.
So like I said again, anybody's interested this Saturday, come on down to Ware Street in Hempstead. State Championship. It's our Super Bowl. It's like the Daytona 500 for fire department racing.
All right.
Okay.
That's about it.
All right. Kevin, Long Island Need for Speed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thursday night, Cablevision, Woodbury Cablevision, channel 115?
115, and then starting in October, it will be island-wide, except for Riverhead. If anybody wants to send me, like I said last week, a phone bill from out that way in Riverhead, then you guys will be able to say it. But all of Brookhaven, all of Hauppauge, and now all of Nassau County will get Long Island Need for Speed as of October and send it in the paperwork tomorrow. So
very good.
Thank God for one of the Selden Fire Department members that... because drill team guys, they want to see their drill team stuff. And they always complain, well, why are you showing NASCAR? Well, I'm into NASCAR too, you know what I'm saying? Long Island Need for Speed, you know what I'm saying?
There you go.
So that's it, and everybody have a good week. And like I said before, come on down to Hempstead. If you can't, just watch it on the website, NewYorkStateDrillTeams.com.
All right. Very good.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
All right, thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon. All right. Kevin Basic. Always a pleasure. Has his fire department information for us, the drill teams. And I'll tell you what, and my fire department wasn't into that. They did the old-fashioned stuff, but I loved going to those drills.
Well, the thing about the old-fashioned drills was, you know, with the C and B trucks and the motor hose and stuff like that, you need young guys that are agile, who can jump off a speeding truck and everything like that. I always noticed with the old-fashioned that, yeah, you'd have these guys that were in their 20s, but they'd be up there with men that, you know, I mean, I'm talking about back when I was a teenager myself. There was men in their 50s on that handheld bucket brigade kind of thing and all of that. That was a lot of fun to watch because they'd all come out of there soaking wet. And I'm sure if they did it on the right hot July day, they actually felt lucky to be on something like that because they got, you know, wet down really good and cooled off.
Oh, yeah. I see Jay Slice is back.
Hey,
Jay Slice, man. How you been? Well, it's been a while. Good to see you. Good to see you. A long supporter of in Radio's 505 on. He's one of my first chat room guys.
I saw him at the track a couple of weeks ago. We were chatting.
Yeah.
And I said, so when's the car coming out? And he said, next year.
Next year.
Said, oh, okay. You know, I get it.
Hey, you know. But they're doing it right, though. They're making sure everything's the way it is. And I'll tell you what, I know these days. These guys do this out of their pocket with their own blood, sweat, and tears.
Right.
And
working in the great outdoors.
Working in the great outdoors.
Shop to work, so they are limited to, you know.
Superstorm Sandy pulled the fuel cell right out of the car, floated down the road. I mean, a lot of tough work for these guys, and looking forward to see them hit back and get back and go racing.
Yeah.
You know, and with our Dapo shirts, because I still have my Dapo shirt. That's one of the things I didn't throw away. And, I just don't have my old Dapo button. I think, but Mike Mortimer has a whole box of them, so mighty Mike Mortimer. He holds on to that kind of stuff. Anyway.
He drives a tow truck every week now.
Yeah, I see that.
Instead of getting in wrecks, he tows them off.
Yeah. I said, you know, if I was racing, him and I would be bonding. He told me off every week. Oh, it's good. It's all good. It's all good. Anyway. So anyway, Watkins Glen. I don't know if you got to watch any of that. It's tough to watch a road course race because you're only really seeing what's up front and that kind of good stuff. But I tell you what, you know, I'm a Marcus Ambrose fan, but not so much a Marcus Ambrose. I'm a Richard Petty fan.
Okay.
So they could put a guy that I don't like in that car. I'm going to have to like him. That's just how it is. And that guy he led like the first half of the race. He's
done
right.
very well on the road courses.
I thought he was going to win. I thought he had a shot at winning this event. And I must have dozed off because he was like third, and then he was like 23rd. And then he ended up like 31st.
Well, it only takes a flat tire on a road course to take a good day and make it go bad.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
is that what happened? Because I didn't know what happened.
I don't know. I didn't watch it, but I'm just
flat
saying.
Flat tire,
that,
you get the marbles, you know, something.
If you get a flat about 500 feet past the exit of the pits, and you have to go all the way the rest of the way back around through a track that long on a flat tire before you can get back in, and you know the whole field passes you at least once, if not twice, by the time you get the car jacked up and put a fresh one on there, and you know that's it. Your day is done.
And for those who've never been there, that's a big place.
Yes, it is.
And I worked that race one time, and they said to me, "You're going to be in the spotter stand." Ah, good. At the bus stop, and that's where they have to kind of go around, you know, wait on the other side. I said, all right, the bus stop. I thought they were breaking my chops, you know, because they break my chops with wheelbase, so why not break my chops with the spotter?
Right.
So now I start walking to the spotter stand, and somebody goes, you can't walk there.
Yeah, we'll give you a ride out in the truck or something. Yeah, right.
I had to get a ride. It seemed like forever, and then when I walked back, there was no rides coming to get us to bring us back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but that was, by the time I got back to the garage area, tech was over, and I had a specific job I was supposed to do. I guess I didn't get to do that, but yeah, that was a nice place. That was a nice place.
I hear it's a beautiful country. I've never been there. Never been there.
You know,
from what I can see on TV, and I had a friend who used to go up there with his wife all the time, and
beautiful. He
liked it. He went back, I don't know, 4 or 5 years running.
Yeah, that's the type of place where you got to stop and smell the roses.
True. You know, I mean, this guy would say to me, you know, you like going to cup races, why don't you want to go to this? I said, because for me, going to a road course race, I'm going to be sitting there and it's going to be, here they come and there they go, and maybe one or two stragglers come by, and then there's nothing because they just went around the curve and down the hill and off into the woods over, and I can't see them anymore.
Yeah. So it's not like Lime Rock. Lime Rock, you could position yourself where you could see a good portion of the facility, you know, up in that little hill there, through the S's and stuff. But at Watkins Glen, you're seeing what's in front of you, period. And like you said, you're sitting there, like when I was in the spotter stand, and my job was to make sure they didn't blow the chicane there. And if they did, I had to call up and make sure that they stopped on the next lap, because then that's why they call it the bus stop. They got to physically stop and then go. But I was like, this is fun. I had a good time, but it was like every minute and 30 seconds the cars went by.
Well, I was going to say, once they get stretched out around the track, you know, there's probably always somebody going by, but, you know, the odd thing about it, like I say, is that the problem you run into is your favorite driver is leading the race, and you're sitting down in turn 7, let's say, and next lap, everybody goes by but your favorite driver, and you're sitting there wondering where that person is, because you can no longer see them.
Yep.
And you have, unless you've got a scanner or some way of, you know, tuning in maybe a local TV station that's carrying it up there, if it happens to be on Fox or something like that on a broadcast channel, maybe you'll find out what happened. And other than that, you don't know anything.
No.
You're blind.
You are.
And
it's almost like Pocono.
Exactly. But even at Pocono, you'd eventually see them pushing the driver into the pits.
Exactly. But anyway, up in Watkins Glen, they had a race there this weekend, and Kyle Busch was the winner, with Brad Keselowski second, Martin Truex Jr. third, Carl Edwards fourth, Juan Pablo Montoya fifth, Clint Boyer sixth, Joey Logano seventh, Jimmy Johnson eighth, Kurt Busch ninth, and A.J. Allmendinger finishing 10th. So it was an interesting race. But, you know, they bring a lot of drivers into that place that are road course specialists.
Ringers.
And they didn't really do as well as I thought they were going to. It was kind of strange, but I don't know. Boris said, I mean, he usually runs up there, and he didn't really have that good. I mean, he finished 22nd, but normally he has a good run there.
I think it depends on how good a car you're in. I mean, you're not going to find a ringer sitting in the 48. Or for that matter, the 18 or any of the others that, you know, are really up there and running for the points. I mean, if they're locked into chase right now, there's no way the car owners are yanking them out and putting somebody else in. It's gonna win money, but not gonna really walk away with anything but owner's points from that race, because that hurts them.
It wasn't a big paying race. I mean, I first paid, you know, $236,000 plus, but the last paid only $45, and that's tiny for a cup race.
True, but it's not as many miles as they normally run either.
Not.
So
it's not, and it was, you know, I kind of thought there'd be a little bit more money in there, but there's not. There wasn't. You know, you look at some of these races that pay $600,000, $500,000, but no, I don't know.
Well, those are big market races. I don't think Watkins Glen is. No,
Watkins Glen is not. It's not one of those places. But now the Nationwide was there on Saturday, and we had Austin Dillon, I believe. Let me see if I'm reading. Yeah, Austin Dillon was first, Sam Horner second, Reagan Smith third, Elliott Sadler fourth, Brian Vickers fifth, Justin Allgaier sixth, Brian Scott seventh, Kyle Larson eighth, Trevor Bayne ninth, and Parker Klingerman rounding out the top 10. So it's. I'll tell you what. You know, I always felt that when you run in these events where you got the Cup people, you got the Nationwide people, and in some places you even have the trucks on the Friday. Why not move them around? I don't know. Why not move them around?
I think they're thinking because they've tried standalones with, especially the trucks, and in some cases with the Nationwide Series, and they find that the crowd is bigger if it's at a track where the Cup people are running, because people are more likely to come over from their hotel or their RV just out of curiosity, if nothing else, to you know, pay the $25, $35, $45 to get into the race.
Because they get the promoters get to fill it, empty it, fill it. And I know that's part of it too. But then they're making you buy packages, and you can't just get what the one race.
Yeah, I can remember maybe, I'm going to say 20 years ago, going to Dover, and it was only about $20 to $22 to get into what was then the Busch Grand National race. And there was actually people, if you happened to be in the right place, who were going around handing out free passes for you to go to that race. I'm sure in an effort to flesh out the grandstand and make it look fuller or whatever. I don't know whether that's done anymore because I really haven't gone to any of those races in the last 10 years.
I haven't been to a race as a
I
spectator.
doubt they're giving anything away now because you know they they have enough trouble selling the tickets. Giving them away, I don't know. Maybe they still do. I have no idea.
Well, I know in New Hampshire, Wheeling Engineering purchased a boatload of tickets and gave them to their employees. And the number I was told was 8,000 tickets that they had. Now, there was a decent crowd in there for the modified race, but you know, when you have a place that holds as many as New Hampshire does, you could put 25, 30,000 in, and it's still going to look empty.
True. Yes. When it's that big, I mean, I don't know if you saw what was the Saturday event recently at Pocono. The trucks. Did you notice if you turned on the TV during that race at all, that it was like they only opened a certain small segment of the grandstand to try and corral everybody into one area, and the rest of it was all empty. Now, I know they do that down in Dover, that they don't open up the stands in turn 1 and 2 at all, and they only open up part of turn 4 to keep them all in the main straightaway, and they don't open turn 3 for anything anymore. And of course, you know, the other tracks, they pretty much do the same thing. For nationwide race, they don't open up the grandstands all the way around because they don't want everybody dispersed all over. They don't want to open up all those concession stands. They would have to service it in the bathrooms and things like that to go with it, but still.
And those are the things that the average fan doesn't understand. You just don't open the gates and they go, come watch the
Pick
race.
a seat. Yeah, that one's empty. Sure, you could sit there.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. And they got to put people on and security people. It's easy. Like when I was at I'm trying to remember the shootout in Daytona that Saturday night. We were up, we had a meeting. All the touring guys, we had a meeting in the backstretch underneath the grandstands. Now we're going to watch the event. We go sit in the stands. We got kicked out because there was no security back there. We couldn't be there. So technically those seats were closed. We had to go find somewhere else. Now many of us went back to the hotel and watched it on TV. But going back to the hotel, I said to them, you know what? That makes a lot of sense because what if something happened? What if somebody fell? It would take forever.
Well, I mean, even Riverhead, when they hold the 2 practice sessions before the season starts, and it's free to sit in the grandstand, it's just the backstretch grandstand. Because then they only have to open up one set of bathrooms. The only concession stand they open up is the one that's between the track and the pits. They don't even open the other one down underneath the stands. And I don't see anybody complain about it. I mean, once in a while I've seen people kind of wander past the yellow tape that they put out just off turn 2, and you know that somebody has to go get them and say, no, come on back, you can't sit over there. But
and that's one of the few racetracks that the majority of your seats are in the backstretch.
True.
Because there's nothing in turn,
well,
3 and 4.
there's a lot in turn 1 and
turn 1 and
turn
turn 2,
and the end of the front stretch to the north side of the announcer's tower. There's a lot of seats in that grandstand there.
But in that little area by the press
But that
box,
backstretch grandstand, especially since they replaced it, put that newer one up a few years back, there's enough room for everybody.
Oh, there is. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And if there was a place to put an announcer's booth there, I wouldn't be upset if they made that the start-finish line over there.
The start-finish line, well, it would probably be to the advantage of the scorers and the announcers because then the sun would be at their back too.
Oh, yeah. And if you've never raced there, you go into turn 1 at a certain hour, you can't see turn 2.
Right.
You can't see turn 2.
Doesn't matter if you got your Ray-Bans on or anything else.
Yep.
I've actually seen them rearrange the show so that the modifieds do not have to go through turns 1 and 2 with sunblind.
It's bad.
That can be a disaster.
when the figure eights used to have heats on the oval to qualify, invariably in August, we were looking, you went down, you passed the start finish line, you lifted to go into turn one, and it was blindness. And you actually, at least what I did, is I looked at the white line. I'm looking at the white line. And you do bump, 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 but then you go down the backstretch, and it like the curtain was put over the sun. You could see. And it was only 10 laps, but it was still a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
You could not see. You could not see. And it's not the track's fault. It's just the way the earth is spinning.
Well, I was going to say, there's nothing they can do about it. I mean,
Nothing, no.
They have billboards up along the top of the fence over there, and they're probably, I'm going to guess they're as high as the town will allow, because otherwise they might put them up higher in an effort to,
I agree
mitigate
with
the
that.
sun problem. So, I mean, that's the way it is.
Oh, yeah. And like you said, if the modifieds, if the qualifying is all done early and the modifieds go out there, they're dealing with the sun. And sometimes, it should be intermission time, something. Let the sun
Well, I was going to say,
just drop a little bit.
unless you got the woods, a big stand of trees or something nearby that helps you out. The one thing you got to remember about circle track racing is that at some point you're going to be facing the sundown or the sunrise, and it's going to be an issue.
Early in the afternoon or late in the afternoon or early evening, the sun is going to be somewhere.
I've been at races up at Mountain where they say, you know what, let's hold off about 10, 15 minutes because the sun's going to be in their eyes. Let's, tell everybody we're going to have an intermission. Tell them to go down and get a hamburger or soda, whatever, because I'm not putting the drivers into that situation right now.
It's like left field at Yankee Stadium.
It's done everywhere. It's done everywhere.
There's a certain period in the afternoon at Yankee Stadium you don't want to be the left fielder because you see them out there like this, squinting.
Oh yeah, sure.
And then the way the shadows come, like Yogi Berra used to say, it gets late early out there, or early late out there, or something like that. The Yogiisms. But no. But it's kind of interesting when just moving forward with this racing thing, and I really don't know what I'm gonna do. I know I'm gonna still come down here and do my show.
Yeah, well,
with a much different attitude because I don't have to be a good little wooden soldier anymore.
Well, true. You can speak more freely. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I did with Patrick Emmerling. Mm-hmm. I only got one phone call about that. It was, it was all good. But I don't know. They didn't make it to Stafford. They said they weren't going. So.
But they did go.
Yeah, they said they weren't going, but they weren't.
Well, yeah, but I mean, how many people have you heard say on a Monday?
I said it every week.
I'm not going, and Friday, Saturday rolls around, and there they are, and you say,
1989, I said that every week. I'm not coming back.
Or in my case, I hear from people who say they're going to be out there, and they've registered a number, and they're listed on the roster and everything, but I haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, no. There seems to be a lot of that. And I don't know why, but there seems to be a lot of that there's a lot of people with numbers and no race cars. And it's just not.
Oh, I think they have cars. I think the car's in the garage. I think it's not ready yet. I think that maybe at the last minute a sponsorship deal fell through, so they didn't have the money to go do it. And it's kind of embarrassing that, you've been telling everybody for a month, I'm racing this year, I'm going for the championship. And then the week before the season starts, your sponsor calls up and says, I kind of changed my mind. I'm not going to have that check for you in a couple of days after all. And you sit there and say, well, I can't afford to do it. But how do I explain this to everybody? Because there's still a chance this guy might come back, so I don't want to badmouth him.
Right.
So.
Well, and I ran into that with my business. And I had some key deals that were, hand shook on and agreed, and this is what we're doing. And then Superstorm Sandy put one out of business.
Yeah,
and destroyed the building and stuff, and he couldn't wait for insurance money and FEMA money and all that other money. He had to fix his building, so money earmarked for sponsorship for a race car went to get his business back running. And I'm sure I'm not the only guy that was in that position. But it happens. Things like that happen. It's tough. You really can't do racing right without a sponsor.
And there's a lot of people, if they're candid with you, if you talk to them and say, gee, you got a lot of sponsors on the car, and they'll kind of lean over and well, I don't want anybody else to hear this, but some of these are on here because they were good to me in the past and I left them on the car, but I really don't get money from them anymore. And it's okay, you can kind of, the thought process there is probably, well, maybe if I leave it on the car and I talk to them again, say, look, you know, I had you a couple of years ago. You've been on my car ever since, even though you didn't give me anything. Any chance you want to come back on board again, you know, even for $100, $200, you know, because you kind of want to go for whatever money you can get your hands on.
Oh, definitely. Well,
You know.
and I had a deal with a sponsor back in '94 who really could not see any benefit of sponsoring a race car at Riverhead, not only Riverhead Raceway, but any racetrack across the universe. So I put him on the car. I took his logo, put it on the car with his permission, and I said, listen, you don't have to give me a dime. I'm going to promote your business. At the end of the season, we'll sit. You kick me in what you think is fair. We came up with a dollar amount that we thought was fair. And the season ends. We went to Chow Babies, a very nice Italian restaurant. And we order drinks, we order our meal, we have dessert. And I'm like, I'm saying to myself, what's going to happen here? And he goes, oh, by the way, here's $6,000.
There you go.
And they've been on my cars ever since. Because he saw it's a physical therapy, chiropractic, therapeutic type of place, full service type of thing. And he didn't think that he'd get any clients from somebody walking around the racetrack, and he did. And still does.
Well, especially as a chiropractor, you'd say to them, do you realize how many people I'm with every week at Whiplash?
So many people I sent there, so many people. But that was what needed to be done. And it was people I sent that didn't even go to the racetrack.
Right.
He didn't care. He still did well. He did well. But oh, yeah. I don't know. Some people are saying they can't hear us and they can't see us.
I cannot see or hear anything.
Wow. There's nothing on our screen, though.
Closed my browser several times. Nothing. Huh.
Wow. See that? Yeah.
Now, is that...
Got a blank screen and
that's my daughter.
And dead air.
That's my daughter. Chris 71. I'm pretty sure that's my daughter who lives up in Ridge.
That's you saying, yeah. Well, let's see. We're broadcasting. Yeah, I thought we were. But
Wow.
anyway, but yeah, it's just looking at.
And my other daughter says, yep, to what? The show is
Yep,
dead
that
on air. Oh, my God.
No, that's
What did we do?
see,
Oh.
nothing. Sometimes it just happens. You know, we're showing that we're on and live, and some
Okay.
people, like you said, maybe you just refresh.
Well, if it's dead, can they at least hear us? Okay. Yeah, no, just a...
Yeah, I'm just looking at some stuff here. We just did a little refresh. Maybe if they do refresh, maybe they'll come back. I don't know. I'm not a techie guy. I'm not a mechanic, and I'm not a tech guy.
I'm a tech guy.
Yeah, and communication is your background.
Right.
In many forms.
Well, that's why I was wondering, you know, if they couldn't see us, could they hear us?
Yeah.
Because video and audio are totally separate spectrums.
Yes. See, I didn't know that until you just said that. Right. Yeah, it says we're good. I'm going to take a break, and then hopefully when we come back, we'll be back in business.
Sleep well, my angel. This won't be less than perfect. Sleep well, my angel. This city isn't worth it. Wake up, the streets are burning, and the avenue is cold. I'm not sleeping, I'm just resting my eyes. And I'll tell you something, surely you've been told, drive this city, will drown it in your eyes. 6:15 of Richmond's leaving, speak now, forever trade your peace of mind for peace and quiet. And over my dead body will I watch you fall apart over something like this, tearing back to pieces. can take a time, or is this worth it? For you to let me drown on this bench. 6:15, the bitch been sleeping. Speak now, forever trade your peace of mind for peace and quiet. And over my dead body, will I watch you fall apart over something like this? Tearing back to pieces. Sleep well, my angel. This won't be less than perfect. Sleep well, my angel. This city isn't worth it. Sleep well, my angel. This won't.
Stop putting it off and start painting it up today at Ben's Paint Station, featuring Benjamin Moore Paints, Sickens, wood finishes, paints, and professional paint supplies, ideal for contractors and homeowners, stain paints and epoxies, family owned and operated, in business for over 55 years, professional and experienced help, located at 2 locations, 55B Route 25, Coram, Long Island, New York, and 1495 Plaza Montauk Highway, Mastic, New York. Call them at 775-7435 and 775-8135. Ben's Paint Station, featuring Benjamin Moore Paints. Log on to the Enravio Advertisers page today.
Good Times Magazine, New York's best entertainment paper for 43 years. Check out their calendar for all the latest music info, including New York City, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk. Studio News brings you the biggest news about the hottest artists and sounds. Technobeat is your guide to electronica, techno, house, and dubstep. Packtrack keeps you up to date on the biggest events at the area's performing arts centers and theaters. Good Times Magazine gives you all this and more. It's bi-weekly and it's free. Pick up your copy today or visit goodtimesmag.com.
You are listening to InRadio.com.
Hey, this is Chuck from the Two Guys and the Chick Show on Radio.com. Hey, you know, this last election, apparently there were only 5.6 billion unique views online. Go figure. I guess it kind of opened their eyes a little bit that internet is the new way to go. I guess you could say the future of radio is now, broadcasting to 6.8 billion people in Radio.com.
Education, now you're up.
And we're back. Hey, InRevio.com and the Red Cross reminds you that you can help save a life simply by donating blood. Your donation can save up to 3 lives, so give the gift of life. For more info, visit their website, redcrossblood.org. If you have a community event, we want to know. Send us your information on company letterhead to gm@inravio.com. And catch us serving the world and focusing on you on Long Island at inravio.com. Anyway, we're back.
Yes, we are.
We're back. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. Because, you know, I didn't want to lose a half-hour pay, you know.
We're getting paid for this? Wow.
Well, I think we are.
That's how we, huh? Oh, well, you know. But I'm a senior on a limited income, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm retired.
I'm not a senior on a limited income.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. But now looking forward, myracenews.com. Looking forward. What is the ultimate goal?
The ultimate goal.
Because I know in the beginning you did this because you enjoyed it, it was fun, but it seems to be taking a new shape now. You know?
Well, it went from being a fun, I guess you would call it a hobby thing, to being a work thing because I am obligated to other people, and,
Right.
and I try to, fulfill that obligation as best I can. Fortunately, because I do have so much free time, I can hit the computer and check it, and basically if somebody emails me something that has to go up, it's sometimes it's up 10 minutes after they've sent it out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's up 2 hours later, but I try not to let it run overnight. I can
Right,
tell
right.
you, anybody sends me anything after 10:30 at night, I only have a limited amount of time when I'm doing a shutdown on my computer. If I have maybe one story, I can do a rush and get it up. Other than that, it's waiting until the morning.
Right,
Now,
right.
that's the bad news. The good news is I'm up early every morning.
Right.
So it may be up before 7 o'clock the following morning anyway.
And that's what people need to understand. With what you're doing, it's not monitored 24/7.
No.
You know, and that's it. Because I know somebody said something. Oh, I sent them something, he didn't respond. But you know, when you send it, they go, "Oh, midnight." I sleep.
Exactly. Right. It doesn't ding my phone. You know, even though I have a smartphone, I don't have it hooked up to be notified every time somebody wants to say something to me, because that wouldn't work. I'd get so tired of it so fast, I'd say, you know what, somebody want this, take it. If not, I'm shutting it down. We're finished. You know, that kind of thing. And I don't want to do that. But oh, yep. See, my daughter gave up. Sorry, Dad. Talk to you in the morning. Well, sorry too.
I think we're back in business.
Yeah, that's the old screen. You know, sorry. The site is
They all,
not
they
down.
all,
Okay,
They
we're
hung
all
on.
good.
They hung on. My people hung
Yep.
on. That's good.
Good. Everybody's still with us, so that's a nice thing.
That's a good thing.
But, you know, what we'd like to do is get into more of the news format. I mean, we have enough people feeding us pictures now that it would be nice to have a picture or two, or a gallery link with each story that people can go on and not only read about a race, but see pictures of what happened during the race.
Yeah.
From time to time, if it's important enough, I have been able to get videos from people. There was a controversy a couple of weeks ago about something that happened in one race at Riverhead, and the argument went back and forth until I got my hands on a video of another view. We've talked about this before. I know you've talked about it on the show. It depends on whether you were watching it from one end of the track or the other,
Absolutely.
from the straightaway or the backstretch, or you know, whatever. And I saw 3 different views. I know the one that I put up, I had seen almost immediately, because the guy sits next to me and he showed me a replay, and then he showed me a slow-mo replay. And then I saw the other videos, and I was like, well, you really can't see in those what I had seen from where I was sitting and in the video that I saw where I was sitting. And it turned out that it was pretty much, I know not everybody would agree with me still, but it was more of a racing incident than anything else. It was one
happens.
car, you know, who was in the lead. The other car wanted it. Obviously, the person in the lead is going to protect it. The other guy is going to fight to get it. And sometimes things don't turn out well. In this case, fortunately, it was a flat tire, a little bit of body damage, and maybe even suspension damage. Nothing major, because both of them recovered from it very nicely. But obviously, the car that was one of the cars involved in it was second with 3 laps to go. Had to go to the pits, put a new tire in the car, come back out, restart. Obviously, not a chance to even get back to second again, and they'd been having a frustrating time, and they were upset, and I don't blame them.
You know, what people don't understand, it was something I tried to explain ever since I put on an official shirt to a competitor. I don't think people are going out on a racetrack to wreck on purpose.
No, I don't either.
And
either.
The law of physics says 2 objects can't occupy the same space at the same time. And you're driving, you're on the outside, you see a hole, you go, and the guy on the inside sees the hole, he's going at the same time.
Right.
When you're going down a straightaway in 3 seconds, 4 seconds, whatever it is there's going to be some banging.
You've got to have some good reaction time too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's what a lot of competitors and crew chiefs and people in the stands who are rooting for Goggles Paisano, they're not looking at it that way. They're not looking at it objectively, and that's what causes a lot of sometimes the arguments. The drivers are okay. It's the crews and the wives and the girlfriends and the boyfriends that get crazy.
Well, you got to watch having a short fuse. I mean, I've witnessed 2 incidents this year where drivers thought that somebody did something to them. They went after that somebody. They were penalized for it. And then, of course, after they've committed the act and found out what their penalty was and talked to the people around them who had a better view of what was happening, they were informed that the person that they went after was not the person who caused their problem.
Right.
Okay, so that's why, I mean, people are going to say to me, well, you're full of it. You don't know what you're talking about. But maybe I am.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need to take a deep breath for a second and think about it.
Right.
And not just react and say, well, I know that guy did me wrong. I'm going after him right now. I'm going to get him. I'll show him he can't do that to me. Maybe they can't, but the track officials can do something to you, and is it really worth a week off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think most people, when cooler heads prevail, would say, no, it's not worth the week off. Or,
Right.
yeah, it was great to have the week off. I went fishing. I had a great time.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the attitude of the person.
Yeah. Hey, they got to hang out with me because I don't.
Yeah, you. What do you do now? Charter a fishing boat and invite people to come with you?
I'm thinking of doing that one weekend. I really am. I'm thinking of going fishing.
Well,
I
don't
really
do it
am.
on a Saturday.
No, I mean,
Car counts are hurting enough already without you luring
I
people
do my
away.
golf and stuff. So
Don't lure people away. We
Yeah,
need them. I mean,
you need the teams, the crews.
I appreciate what these people do to entertain us who are regulars on a Saturday night, no matter what track it is. I mean, I appreciate the effort that was put forth by everybody at Orange County that I saw this week. Even though I wasn't satisfied with the overall program, it wasn't the fault of the competitors. They went out and did what they had to do.
Right.
Okay.
Definitely.
I would fault the people who organized it into whatever they thought it was going to be and what it turned out to be. But I would say the same thing for Riverhead. I mean, I enjoy watching these people. I have seen some really good races there. As I said, I read 3 different accounts of what went on Saturday night, and it sounded like I missed a really good night of racing. And I regret that, but you know what? You can't be in 2 places at the same time.
You can't. And I heard the same reviews that it was a good night of racing. For those who showed up and participated and those who showed up to watch, it was a good night of racing, and you need that.
Well, even going back to the tour race, which was originally supposed to be 200, what ended up being 207 laps.
Yeah.
And I noticed afterwards some people said, well, there was 92 laps of caution. And my response to that was, yeah, I guess so. I wasn't really paying attention because when the green flag was out, the racing was great.
Absolutely.
So the best I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we have a guy that writes for us who came up here from Pennsylvania to see that race. And he had 2 things to say. He missed his home track and he was glad he was going to be back there the following week. And he was even happier that he did not miss that race because it's the best modified race he's seen in his life.
Yeah, it was a
So,
good race.
I mean,
It was a good race. There was a lot of passing. There was a lot of good stuff. It was a good race. And from my vantage point, I was up on the ramp, assisting the tower, and I got lulled into watching this race. I really did.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a race from first to 21st.
Yep.
It was a race.
Yeah, there was stuff going on, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And it was good. And I don't think too many people in the stands felt like, well, gee, I guess that was okay. I think they walked out of there, if they had any knowledge of racing whatsoever.
Right.
Maybe somebody who was there for the first time said, well, gee, they spent an awful lot of time going around slow. Oh, really? That's all you noticed?
Yeah.
Well, then you don't truly appreciate what was going on out there when they were going fast.
Right. Yeah, I know somebody had made a comment a couple of days, or the Monday after that event, that to them the race was boring, that the average speed was slower than the cars passing in front of his house in the street. Now, people got to say it's a quarter-mile racetrack. Your average speed isn't that quick to begin with. Your top speed is up to 90 miles an hour, but your average speed is around 40, 45. Throw in some cautions, you're in the 30s. That's a number that means really nothing. But this person took that number and ran with it. Oh, the cars in front of my house go faster than that. Yeah, well, you know what? You look at the average speed at Daytona sometimes, where they're topping 220, and the average speed is 105, 112.
Because of cautions.
Because of
Right,
cautions,
exactly.
and every caution is going to be 6 laps where you're at 20 miles an hour, or 25 miles an hour, pit road speed. Not that there's a pit road, but that's what they call it. And people need to understand that.
Yeah, but conversely, you take a race like up in New Hampshire, where the modifieds are hitting 125, 127 miles an hour for the outspeed a lap. Now, let's say they started them off and it turned into one of these deals where, similar to what I witnessed Saturday night at Orange County, where nobody really passes anybody. So they do 100 laps around there, and nobody passes anybody, anything like that. Now, for whatever reason, they decided that as a sideshow kind of race to keep the fans entertained, maybe they bring a Charger / late model type race up there and run a 40-lapper on that track. And those cars obviously would be much slower than the modifieds.
Mm-hmm.
But if it turned out to be a side-by-side, people passing each other, slam-bang competitive race, and afterwards you asked everybody what was the best race, well, the speed freaks might say to you, well, gee, the modifieds are great because they go really fast. But you know those other guys, they're swapping the lead, and because that's what you want to see. It has not so much to do with the speed,
right,
as what happens at that speed. Now, I'm not saying that it would be a great race at 10 miles an hour.
Right, right.
You know, but if they were all out there with their foot to the floor, and the lead swapping 5 times a lap, and it comes down to 2 guys that are side by side, and they got to go by what the transponders tell them as to who won, or wait for the camera to to reset to see what the picture is. Well, then you know you've seen a good race.
Yeah.
And that's really what truly a good race is.
Yeah. And I finally watched my DVR version of New Hampshire with the modified race.
Yeah.
And I started watching it, and that first 50 laps, 51 laps, man, oh man. Even though it looked like there wasn't a lot of swapping in the mid-pack, there was some good hard racing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came back after the break. Now, I'm not a fan of break races. And for whatever reason, it was a break race, but you come back from that break, and all of a sudden, it was like guys dialed themselves right out.
Mm-hmm.
They dialed themselves out. I watched one of the cars that I had on pit road just making wholesale changes to this suspension, and they were running good. And then they went
But
back.
they can only base that on what the driver tells them.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, come on.
But, you know, somebody had to be scratching their head there, too, because you know that there's somebody who's sitting there with a clipboard and stopwatches, and they're timing the laps, and they're seeing where the car is running. And if the car, in the first 50 laps, if it was like almost always in the top 10 or higher, why would you want to do that?
Exactly.
Especially if the other top 10 runners really aren't making any changes in their cars.
And I see that the chat room, I guess we're doing well, because the chat room is asking about the Marty Himes reunion party. I believe that's
That's
August.
a week from this coming Sunday, yeah.
August the 25th.
Yeah.
10 a.m.
Yeah.
They'll be opening the gates. So
I'll be there.
in fact, the figure 8 safer picnic is the same day.
Is it really?
Yeah, I don't know, because the guy who picked the date didn't confer with anybody or anything, and he just picked that date and booked it. But I'm going to be at Marty Himes's.
Well, I was going to say, Marty does the same time every year to, like,
This-
you know,
yeah.
re-celebrate his 39th birthday.
Exactly.
Right.
You know?
So,
I don't know.
well, that's a doable, you know, go to Marty's in the morning, and then what time does the safer picnic start?
Sun up to sundown.
Well, okay, so that means you could get to the safer picnic at
Yeah, I'm not
2:30,
going.
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
No, I got another commitment.
Oh,
my job is invited by a soft drink company to be their guest at the Ducks in the suite. So the Ducks are playing.
Yeah, I'd go to the
tonight,
baseball
and
game, too.
So
I think
so I'm thinking Marty's from 10 to 3. Head over to the ballpark after that. And
well, Marty's, that's a Sunday.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not that far from where the Long Island Ducks play ball. so.
No, not at all.
And the safer
Not at all.
picnic is all in Yaphank, so.
That's too bad.
It is, because I've been going to the safer picnic, believe it or not, since.
Never been to one. I've always heard great things about them.
I'll tell you what, for that one afternoon, one morning, one day, whatever it is, everybody puts their differences aside. A couple of guys bring their scrapbooks, they sit around the table and they look at their scrapbooks and they talk racing and they play ball, softball, and they have a lot of stuff for the kids to do. It's a good day, it really is, and it's inexpensive. It's only, I believe, it's like $10 a head, $25 a family. You can't go wrong for all you can eat and drink for that, you know. And like I said, there's prizes for the kids for the stuff, and some serious softball games, and we have a good time. And I've been going to that thing for, since '77.
Well, you're obviously going to have to get yourself cloned. So
No,
you
I'm
can make
gonna,
all of these, I mean, you thought you had more time on your hands, and now you find out that you're triple booked on one day.
But I'll tell you what, Marty Himes has been good to me, and I can't miss Marty's. I always told him, if I'm in town, I'll be at his place on that day, and I'm in town. So I'll be at his place. I just can't stay all day, unfortunately, but I'll be there for the breakfast and the lunch. I just won't be there for the lunch and the dinner. And I hear Ken Spooner is supposed to be there signing books for long ride and the short track, I understand. And
Really?
That's what I read somewhere, unless I misread it. So, I'll have a satchel with some books too, I'm sure.
I'll have to see if I can get something from Marty's grandson. I know he usually does the internet promotion end of that thing.
Yeah.
If I can get like an absolute press release I can put up on my site or whatever, and we'll remind people on the Facebook page too.
Yeah, because I think I'm getting back from Bristol on late Thursday, so I'm driving down with the hauler. So we'll get back late Thursday. I plan on going fishing Friday.
No.
You're not thinking?
That race is 6 o'clock.
But don't we wish
Is it Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Then we'll come back.
Because when I went down and covered that a couple of years ago, that was the crazy, I drove down the day before, checked into the hotel, went out to the track that day, went back to the hotel that night, got in the car the next day, drove home in the rain through most of Virginia, and said, no, next time I do this, I got to have another reason to stay down here and do something else, because this is a crazy trip to just go down, turn around, and go back.
Yeah, well, originally my flight was I was flying down Monday morning and flying home late Thursday night. So
See what you gave up?
yeah,
Gave up the airline seat for
that's all right. That's okay.
for the seat in the hauler.
That's right. That's okay. At least I'll be with people that I care about.
Well, true.
And that hopefully care about me. Friends, true friends, But I'm looking forward to that actually. But that Friday, I think my plan is to do a little fishing, relax, and then go out to Marty's, go do my work thing, my obligation there, and then watch the race somewhere.
I usually hit Marty's in the morning, and then I got to kind of be out of there by 1 o'clock in the afternoon because I have to go home and write.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I've never been there for the morning. I always got there like early afternoon, and I only stayed for a few hours because I always had something to do, or I was coming back from a race, and I was just getting landed. One year I just landed at 3 o'clock at Islip Airport and shot over and stayed for a while, and then I still had things to do, besides that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm letting everybody I know. There are people I know that have never been to Marty Hines Museum, and I'm telling them that's the day to go.
You got to go at least once.
And you can't see the whole day in one day.
Knew it was, embarrassingly enough, I knew about the place for years, and it was always, call, make an appointment. And when I thought I was like, well, I don't want to inconvenience the guy. It was like a weekend. I thought maybe he had something else to do or whatever. And I met him a couple of times when they used to do it out at the track, and after I went there once, I was like, oh, I have to go back and go back and go back and go back. And, I'm not going to say Marty has everything, but Marty's got more than anybody else who wishes they were running a stock car racing museum. And I'm not just, we're not even just talking local. Marty's got stuff from all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And somebody in the chat room said, how much is the cost to get into that?
Oh,
you stop at the ATM on the way.
It's right here in my hand.
Yeah. Well, zero, nothing.
Come down, have hot dogs, soda. Marty's got soda, he's got water. They serve hot dogs, they have birthday cake, they have salads. His kids, put a bunch of stuff out, they help out.
Raffles.
Yeah, they do it. It's a wonderful thing.
I am so looking forward to it because, I'm not going to be rushing around. So.
And there's always, something always shows up as a surprise. Was it last year, year before, the guy came with the V12 Packard race car or something like that. I mean, that was just, and you had the look on Marty's face when he said to Marty, come on, I'll take you for a ride. And they went off down the street and everybody's like, oh my God, what's going on? Somebody said, don't worry, all the cops around here know Marty, so the guy's got a free pass if Marty's in the car with him.
Yeah, anytime I go there, and I think I missed one because I was actually physically away, but I always go into my little stash and bring something for Marty to put in there, and I got a head. I have a bunch of stuff to give to him for that museum, and it's kind of funny because I gave him one year the time trial board that the Featherlight Modified Tour used. And what they did for a photo op, they had all the times. It was the World Series of Thompson, Featherlight, that was their last race. Wheeler was taking over. And all the scores, because they scored, man, they didn't have transponders then. And they all signed the board.
Oh, cool.
With a marker.
Right.
And took a picture. So I know somebody carrying it away. I said, oh, damn, they beat me to it. And they carried it to a dumpster. They threw it in the dumpster.
Yeah.
I climbed in, took it out.
Yeah.
Now, it was that dry erase stuff.
Yeah.
So I covered it up nice so that nothing could happen. When I got home, I just traced everything with a permanent marker. The signatures, everything. And I brought it to Marty, and I told him what I want you to get it. He had tears in his eyes. And, you know, he has it, you know, hanging up in one of those trailers there, you know, when I go there and I see it. And I gave him, I think, my uniform for that day because it was the last Featherlight race. So I got some stuff for him.
Marty's very appreciative of whatever you give him. And, you know, it's funny, I was thinking of him the other day when they were talking about, Powerball is up to, you know, so and so many hundreds of millions of dollars. And I said to him, you know, to my wife, I said, you know what? If I won that, I would take a decent amount of that money and I'd try and find a piece of land somewhere around here where I could put up a building that's worthy of what this guy Marty has down there in Bay Shore, because that's what it really needs. Is a good building to go into. Marty doesn't have the money to do that.
No.
And it's a shame, because if he did, if somebody gave that to him, it would be such a spectacular place. That it would have to become a destination where you would go there with a group tour or something and get there at 8 o'clock in the morning and hope that you could see all the highlights of the place by 8 o'clock that night.
And my fear is this: we all know we don't all live forever, and someday when Marty goes on to the next life or whatever your belief is at that point, when he's done, who's gonna do this?
Yeah.
And he's the type of guy I could say to him, I'll name a driver from the 30s. He'll go like this, and he'll come back with a book with that guy's picture, or that guy's fire suit, or the guy's shoes, or something. I'm like, how do you get this stuff? It's just amazing. You go through the scrapbooks, and these I mean, not just a scrap. There's piles of them. These are modifieds. These are late models. These are figure eights. These are this is this. This is this. This is Indy cars, and unbelievable. And I just love it.
I picked him up and drove him out here when we were all on your show back in February. And the time in the car coming out here with him, sitting around waiting until we got ready to do the show, and then the time on the ride home was the most time I ever spent alone together, just one-on-one with him. And it was the most memorable thing, because he's a gentleman to talk to. And you don't necessarily have to talk about racing. We talked about other things. Okay, I couldn't believe he was telling me his history with doctors, which is almost nothing. Okay, and yet he's like seems to be healthy as a horse.
You look at pictures of him from the 50s, and you look at pictures, other than his hair color, exactly the same.
Yeah,
exactly the same.
And we were talking about snow, and I said to him, you know, the snow that we had a couple of years ago, and I said, boy, you must have a snowblower for that. And he said, no. He said, my brother and I dig it out by hand. And I said, what?
Him and Reggie.
And I said, wow.
That's amazing.
That's a lot.
So
I said, he's just talking. He said, we dig the whole museum out in case somebody wants to come by and see stuff. I was like, oh no, Marty, please, you got to get a snowblower.
Folks, if you've never been there, you got to go. And if you can't make it Sunday, call him up. Like WJ said, you're not bothering him. He lives for this place. He lives for his whole house.
Well, he's not there 24/7. I mean, he told me he's got some kind of job with the Suffolk County Fire School where he does stuff out there. So, you know, there may be days he's not home. But I would say if you called him up, he could probably give you a time within 2 or 3 days that, you know, he'd tell you, yeah, if you come 9 o'clock that morning, I can give you, you know, about 4 hours. I'll just, you know, open everything up. You could walk around and look at what you want, you know.
You can't even go down the driveway.
Well, it's a start. It's a start. You know, I mean, everything's got to start somewhere, somehow, you know.
And you got to know, you know, like the first time I went, I tried to see everything. And by doing that, I missed everything.
Well, I was going to say, I think your first trip here is like, okay, I got to get over there. Oh, yeah, I definitely want to see that.
Yep.
Oh, look what he has over here. And yeah, it can overwhelm you.
Just that section with the photo
depending on how good
albums.
your memory is.
Yeah.
Depending on how good your memory is, when you go back there again, you're a lot better organized because you say to yourself, I'm not even going to look over this way. I saw stuff over there, and I'm going through it if it takes me all day.
Yeah. And I went in this one, I guess that it was a trailer, you know, a container, and I went into it, and it's got to be 6, 7 years later, and there's my uniform hanging up.
Wow.
And I was like, he really put it up, you know. And I said, "Why? Thank you." He goes, "What do you mean? You don't thank me. I'm thanking you." You know, he put it up. He hung it. It's hanging. You know.
I just thought, I know what I can give him when I see him this time, right? I got to give him one of my hats, and one of my bumper stickers.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Ran into a guy that I no longer speak to. He was like two parking spaces away from me up at Orange County. He now has one of my bumper stickers on his truck.
Does he?
Yeah, but the speculation was it'd probably be Wednesday or Thursday this week before he even notices it's there. If he puts his beard down long enough.
Oh, man. I have one of those bumper stickers. I don't want to use it, though. Because they're limited quantities, you know?
Oh, no, we'll get more.
Oh,
we'll
okay.
No, I got them right up the street from
yeah.
here. I got them at Sign Design.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, no,
Sign
if I need more, I'll order more.
There you go. Nice.
That was the thing. One of the people with me said, you know, we should. I said, well, how many stickers were in? He says, what's that box on the floor in the back seat? I said, oh, that's right, I forgot. Yeah, that's the rest of them. Okay,
That's the
sure.
rest of them. There you go.
We're good.
So, anyway, look at this time has come to an end almost. And we had a little glitch today, but that happens. They fixed it. You know, that's why we have techie people. It's all good now. So anyway, like I said, I'll be headed to Bristol next week. I'm not heading nowhere this weekend.
I'll be heading to the TV to watch Bristol from my DVR. I'll pick it up
It'll be
about.
good. It's a good.
Well, I know they're kind of like about 10 minutes behind on a delay anyway.
Yeah, they do a little delay. I don't know why, but they do, and that's okay.
Well,
But,
they want to build themselves a cushion in case there's an early yellow like
yeah,
last year.
Then they want to be able to play with it, but
They actually, people don't realize they're doing you a favor because if they were live and they had a long cleanup like that, you'd know all the commercials by heart by the time the show was over.
And before we go to
showing them at you.
there's one read I want to do is in Radio.com has tickets to see the Mickey Hart Band Saturday, August 17th at 8 p.m. at the Paramount Theater in Huntington, New York. Click on the contest tab to enter to win a pair of tickets. For more information on upcoming shows, visit ParamountNY.com. Well, it looks like it's a wrap. So wherever thought, I want to thank you for coming down.
We're done already?
We're done already.
Wow.
It always goes fast when you're here. But, thank you. I gave you a little short notice this morning.
I told you, hour and a half. You know, if there's nothing on the docket, I can do it.
I appreciate you coming down. I appreciate everybody listening and signing and their input. And Kevin Basic, Long Island for Speed, for your weekly call-in. Thank you. And wherever your endeavors take you this week, be safe, have fun. God bless you all, and thank you all. We'll see you soon.
You're just out of place, because you just sort of drive. But I rate.